Happy Friday, welcome back to Drinking by Myself. My name is Emma and I have been playing a TBR game over the last month. Throughout December, I have completely handed over control of which books I have read to my advent calendar. Advent calendars, actually, I had two. My mum gave me one which lived at my flat, and my girlfriend gave me one which lived at her flat, so no matter where I was staying each night I could still wake up and open my advent calendar. Also, I just know some of you are going to comment about this because everyone loves the chocolate advent calendars or the little gift advent calendars, whatever else you get. I'm a traditionalist. I love the picture advent calendars. I love just waking up every morning and seeing what little Christmassy scene is behind the door. It brings me childlike joy, okay? So just don't tease me about it. So let's rewind all the way back to the 1st of December and find out what my advent calendars have had me reading this month. It's midnight on the 1st of December, which means it's Christmas season and means it's time to open the first door in my advent calendar. I predict that behind door number 1, we are going to find a candy cane. It's a penguin! Come look at it. Look how cute! I don't have any books about penguins. You do? You have? Oh, a penguin book! A book published by Penguin! Oh my god, I'm such an idiot! Any book published by Penguin! Well, let's go look! Something very serendipitous just happened. So, Raph and I came back in here to sit down and have a look through my TBR list and see what I have that is a Penguin book or what she has on her shelves. And we realised there is a book that I just bought couple of weeks ago on my Kindle because it was on a deal that is a Penguin book, and it is called This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub. And the reason I bought it is because I did a video recently asking you to recommend me books based on particular things, like the formula for my perfect book. I will link to that below. And a couple of people I think had mentioned This Time Tomorrow, which is a time travel book by Emma Straub. Anyway, so we decided that's the book I should read. Raph then went very quiet, vanished into the next room. I heard her rattling around and she came back in and said, "Happy Christmas," because she actually bought me this book for Christmas, forgetting that I'd already bought it on my Kindle. So I've got it early. This Time Tomorrow is the first book I'm going to read in December, and it's by Penguin. I'm back at my house now, so this is the advent calendar that I got from my mum. Should we have a look at what my picture would have been if I'd opened it here on the 1st? It's a ballerina. I have no idea what I would have read for that. It was a ballerina in a princess outfit, so I could have read the 11th book in the Princess Diary series. That would have been cute, but I'm enjoying my book so far. It's the end of the year. Everywhere on TV. Excuse the wet hair. It is the morning of the 6th of December and I have very nearly finished my book, This Time Tomorrow. I'm absolutely loving it. Who would have guessed I would love a time travel book? I've got about 40 pages left, which I'm convinced I will finish today, probably on the way into work. And so I'm going to open the next door of my advent calendar and pick my next book. And this is my other advent calendar than the one that picked it last time. Ooh, it's a king bearing myrrh. So what I could do for this is a picture of a king bringing a small gift to the baby Jesus, and Raph just gave me a small gift the other day, which was the book Small Things Like These. It's a very short book and it is set at Christmas, so it's sort of a Christmas gift, and the book is about charity and kindness, which is what these guys are doing. That could work. The book is also about religion, and that's a religious image. I think it's perfect. That's the book I'm going to read. I just finished This Time Tomorrow on my lunch break at work, so I thought I would wrap this one up for you. I loved this one. Basically, it's about a woman who is just turning 40, so it starts on her 40th birthday, and her life just isn't quite how she had planned. So the main thing is that her dad is very ill and has been in a coma for the last few months at this point, and he was her only family and her closest person in her life. And she's realising how lost she is going to be without him. Her job, she's been basically in the same job her whole career and never really progressed, and now someone new, her boss is retiring and someone new is coming in and she's not getting the promotion, and so she's suddenly realising, did I never plan my career properly? Her boyfriend proposes and she realises that he's not the man for her, so she says no. She never had decided whether or not she wanted children, so she'd never had them, and she'd never really been sad about that until now when she's realising that she didn't ever actually get to make that choice. So she's at this kind of crossroads where it feels like her life isn't what she had hoped. So it's her 40th birthday, she gets really drunk, passes out and wakes up, and she is 16. She is inside her 16-year-old body. It's her 16th birthday, her dad is alive and well, and so she has to go through that day. And basically this book ends up being kind of like the butterfly effect, so it's quite fun. There's a little meta twist in that her dad is famous for having written this time travel novel that got really famous and then got adapted into a TV show, and so they've always had plenty of money because of that, and so he's a bit of a sci-fi time travel expert, and so it's quite fun, their sort of discussions about time travel. And she realises that she can keep going back and keep changing things and see what her future will look like. So that on the surface sounds like a fairly standard time travel premise. I love the butterfly effect, I love that kind of thing, but it has been done before. But this book did somehow manage to make it feel new. I think because of how early she introduced things that I thought might be like the happy ending. She introduces them really, really early on and then dismisses those. And so I kept kind of trying to re-guess where I thought the book was going, and I never got it quite right. Even up until the very end, I didn't quite predict how it was going to end. And I did have to like really work to hold back my tears at the end so I didn't cry in the office, because it was really moving. This is my third Emma Straub book, definitely my favourite so far. Gift wrapping and cheese. I didn't officially start this yet because we had our work Christmas party yesterday. However, at about 4 this morning, Raph and I were awake for a lot of the night because we drank a lot of espresso martinis through our Christmas party, and that keeps you awake. So after a few hours of not being able to go back to sleep, Raph started reading this to me. So she read me about the first 3 chapters. It was really nice. It did help me get to sleep. So now I need to reread some of the last bits where I was drifting off. It's nice book writing, so I don't think this book is going to take me long at all. I'm being a bit useless and haven't actually really got any much further with the book, even though it's really short and really big writing, so I should have finished it all in one sitting. But I am really enjoying it. I've been reading tiny little bits in like bursts, 5 minutes on the train here and there, and it's very beautiful. It's kind of, nothing's happened yet, I'm not very far in, but it's kind of a book already where it's like, do I just want to cry all the time? Sometimes from happiness, it's just like very poignant. I just lay in bed and finished Small Things Like These all in one go this morning. It was such a beautiful book, a really beautiful book. I'm going to give this one a surprise last minute 5-star entry of the year. It does not take long to read at all. It's just gorgeous. Even before any of the plot started happening, I was, like I said, I was already feeling tearful about it. The book is all about charitable love for each other and the ways in which we enrich each other's lives and can enrich each other's lives in small ways, and also enrich our own lives by doing so. It's just a really beautiful, sad book. So far 2 great picks from my advent calendar. What's going to be next? Okay, it is time to choose book number 3. We're back to this advent calendar. It is the 10th of December, which is a little fox. A little snow fox. What do I have that's foxy? Nothing. Let's go look. Look how perfect what we just found is. I was going through all of the books that I have here. None of them look foxy enough. But then Raph found this. Life After Life. It's got a fox on it. This is a book I've been meaning to read for ages. Atkinson is one of Raph's favourite authors. I have never read any. I think I tried to start this when I was a teenager. I don't know when it came out, I don't know how old I was, and I actually DNF'd it, but I'm gonna try again. I've been meaning to. This is perfect. It literally says on the front here, it came out in 2013. I was not a teenager, but I was young. I'm less than 100 pages through this so far, but I'm already really enjoying it. But my main observation is it's very funny how reading tastes change, because I don't think I got very far with this one at all. I kind of remember reading the very first opening bit, a baby is born and straight away dies, and then we go back and they watch the baby being born again, but this time the doctor gets there just in time when the baby survives, and I kind of remember ending it there, being like, oh, for God's sake, we're gonna do this again, and then just stopped reading it. Hilarious, because now I love that kind of shit. It is actually the next day, not that you would know it because I'm still wearing the same jumper. I am into this book. I'm actually reading it really fast, and it's suddenly done something that I didn't expect. So up until this point, we keep reliving this character's life. Every time she dies, we go back to the beginning and then get a little bit further next time, and she was just a child. So we'd just go like a few months, a few years. Suddenly, we've had a time jump. It's now 1947. She's a full adult and we don't know how she got there. So I wasn't expecting that. Keeping me on my toes. In all the movies there, kissing in the snow. I I'm on to a chapter in the book now called The Beginning of the End. I really do not have much left of this book. I'm loving it so much. It is funny that I'm reading a book kind of identical to the first book I read for this vlog. This is the second book I've read on the theme of time traveling and trying out different versions of your life. I've loved them both, but Life After Life, I'm just completely obsessed with it. I'm really struggling to do anything else that isn't read my book. But anyway, I imagine I'm gonna finish it on my way into work or on my lunch break and need to choose a new book for my commute home. So it's time to open another door. A Christmas pudding? What do I read for that? So I finished Life After Life on the way into work and it was so wonderful. Another 5-star read. Thank you, advent calendars, for the Christmas magic that you're working. This book was amazing. So as I said, it's another book about trying your life over and over again. It was different to This Time Tomorrow because in This Time Tomorrow, the main character is deliberately time traveling and changing things to try and change the future. In this one, our main character, Ursula, is being reincarnated. She doesn't know this is happening to her. She gets these weird feelings of deja vu. Sometimes she gets little snips of not even memory, like tiny little glimpses from a different life that she lived, and sometimes she gets these like senses that something bad is coming, and so that's how she ends up changing her path. Sometimes it's nothing to do with her, it's that other people around her act differently and her life just takes a different direction. So it's not a deliberate thing that she's doing, it's more about the infinite parallel paths our lives could have taken based on the tiniest little differences. It's a format that sounds like it should have felt repetitive, but it really didn't. Being thrown back to the beginning every time, seeing these slight variations of her life, but it didn't. It really made me feel like very aware of all of the tiny moments in every day when my life could have taken this desperately different path. So for example, there's one storyline where she ends up with this horrible abusive husband, and then later on in a completely different life, she meets him on the street and he talks to her and she runs away, and she will never know how differently her life could have gone if she had spoken to him on the street like she did in a different version. It's just such a clever book. I really liked how Kate Atkinson did this. This is the first book I've read from Kate Atkinson. I will definitely be reading more. There is a kind of sequel to this book that I think follows Teddy the brother, so I'll definitely be picking that one up. Also, every time it goes back to the beginning and Ursula is born again, it's snowing when she's born, and it is snowing now. Well, it's not snowing from the sky now, but it has been snowing. We've had some lovely snow. So, Life After Life, bloody good book. And now it's time to move on to my next selection, which, as you saw, I opened this morning, was a Christmas pudding. And really, there's only one thing for it. That is an Agatha Christie short story called The Adventure of the Christmas Pudding. So I have to read that. I've just bought it for my Kindle. I'm going to read it in the bath. That was the perfect length to read in my bath. I have finished it. It was cute, it was fun, it was very Christmassy. It wasn't like the cleverest Agatha Christie storyline that I've read, which by the way, isn't actually very many at all so far. But yeah, it was like nothing special but very cute, and it was about a Christmas pudding. It was like very much about a Christmas pudding. So I could potentially read another book tonight. Based on my other advent calendar. So I'm at Raf's flat now. I opened my advent calendar here when I got home from work, and behind that one was a picture of the three kings travelling with their gifts. And so I could do a double whammy and actually start a book based on that as well. And I have an idea for it. It's a bit of a stretch, but I kind of love it. So I have this book here called The Skeleton Key. Now, a few links here. What are the kings holding? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Myrrh, don't know what that is. Now the skeleton key has on it gold foiling, but not just gold foiling. It's actually about a fictional book. It's like a book within a book, and the book is called The Golden Bones. Okay? Bear with me. The Golden Bones was written by someone who's going to be like a main character in this book called Frank. So Frank Churcher. Frank, short for frankincense. I can't find anything about myrrh in it because, as I said, what the fuck is myrrh? Hi, it's me again, popping in from the future just to say that I did find a link to myrrh because I looked up what myrrh is, and it is made from tree sap. And this might not be the right kind of tree, but there is a tree that is very important in the skeleton key. So let's just say it's the kind of tree that makes myrrh. Okay, back to past Emma. I think it's a stretch, but I also think it's borderline genius, and I also think I'm gonna do it, no matter what anyone thinks. Kissing under bright lights, snowflakes in my hair, carols playing in the air, I dream of December night. I am about 2/3 of the way through this one now. it's finally picking up. So I will say that when I first started it, it felt like a tiny bit of a disappointment just because the cover's so beautiful. I had such high hopes for this one. I was so interested in the story that it's based on, which is this like real life book from the 70s that was a picture book with clues in it and was a treasure hunt and like corresponded to a real treasure hunt that people had to go and like dig up, and that story is so captivating. I thought this was going to be more about the puzzles, and actually it's good. I like Erin Kelly as a thriller writer, but it is just a thriller. It's more of like a family drama and kind of skims over the puzzles in the book. So I was a little bit disappointed, but it is picking up. It's similar to the Twyford Code that I read earlier this year, but with less focus on the puzzles themselves. And so that's been a bit of a disappointment. It's not quite the cozy gothic vibes that I had expected from this cover, but it's a page turner. Okay, so I finished the book. Firstly, check out my Jaws Christmas jumper. Thrilled with this present from Raf. Anyway, I finished the book and it was fine, but overall it was pretty disappointing. I'll give it a 3. It just wasn't quite what I wanted from this whole package. I just thought it was going to be something different, and instead it was a thriller that was really this like family, this very, very dysfunctional family, two families connected in all sorts of ways. It got more and more ridiculous towards the end. The main character, I could not understand her motivations by the end. I wasn't relating to her at all. So yeah, it was disappointing, which actually means that that particular Advent calendar day gave me 2 kind of disappointing stories. The Agatha Christie story was nice. That was a fun short story. It just like didn't blow me away, and this one was again fine, just didn't give me what I wanted. I'd had such good luck with my Advent calendars until that particular unlucky day. So let's see if the 19th of December is any luckier. This time, because I'm now down at my parents' house, down for Christmas, I have brought both of my Advent calendars with me. I can have a choice of which picture I want to use. So my 2 options, a Christmas tree, so I could read something else set at Christmas, or I think this is the best link. The first one was a heart in a ring, and I have a proof here of a book called The Marriage Act. It has a ring on the front cover. Obviously, marriage is about love. Not in this particular case, because this is a thriller, like a dystopian thriller about a future where the government basically like forces people to get married, or punishes people who don't get married, and then also controls people's marriages. So it's not a romantic book like The Romantic Image, but it's a pretty obvious link, I think. I just thought of something. So for the other Advent calendar, the Christmas tree, I've got this book, Homecoming by Kate Morton, which starts at Christmas. So if I can finish the whole of The Marriage Act tonight, which considering it's currently 4:30 will be a challenge, then if I can finish it before midnight, I can start this one for the other picture. So I obviously did not finish the book. 90% of my vlogs are me saying I'm going to finish this book today and then not doing it, but it was very, very readable. I have read 2/3, but it's not midnight yet. It's only 11:15, but my eyes are shutting, so that's enough for tonight. So far the book is really page turning, really readable. It's following quite a few different characters all being affected in different ways by this weird future where the government is controlling everyone. I actually cried at one point, which I was not expecting. I don't know if that's just because I'm tired. I never cry at books, or I very rarely cry at books. I don't know why I cried at this one. There was just like a really sad scene with an old man. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to read more tomorrow. Nearly finished in the bath. That was fun. Just really like silly, gripping, page turning fun. And savage. He is not afraid to kill off his characters. So that means it's time for the moment of truth. What is going to be behind my next Advent calendars? Well, that settles it. Another directly Christmassy one. So I will be reading Homecoming by Kate Morton, which is set at Christmas. It's also set in Australia, which is where Raf currently is, 10,000 miles away. It's very distressing, so I can read this and feel a little bit closer to her. Hey, look at that! I'm back here again. I'm back in London, doing a 24-hour flying visit up to London to see some school friends. I have been reading Kate Morton on the train, not got very far yet, but so far this is classic Kate Morton. This is everything we know and love about Kate Morton. So we've got dual timeline. One of them is present day London, and there's a girl who lives in London but she was raised in Australia, and she has some family history that we don't know about. Meanwhile, back in 1959, on Christmas Eve, the novel opens with this terrible discovery at this grand house in Australia in Adelaide Hills on Christmas Eve when a whole family are found mysteriously dead. I don't yet know how these two things are going to connect, but knowing Kate Morton, they are going to. So I've literally just walked into my flat. It's absolutely freezing, so I'm not even taking off my jacket yet, but I'm going to curl up, and I think what I'm going to do with my lonely evening, let me tell you, Earlier in this vlog, I read Life After Life, which I loved, by Atkinson, and there is a TV show of it, so I think I'm gonna watch that. I'm home alone for the evening. That seems like a good use of my time. I also think, to keep me company, I have a little mini bottle of champagne that Raf gave me. So she, as I mentioned, is currently in Australia. She left to Australia on Friday, and she gave me a little mini bottle of champagne so that on my first lonely evening without her, when I was going to be packing my bag for Christmas, I could have a little glass of champagne to cheer myself up. But I did not, because I'm pathetic, and I was so sad about her having left for Australia, the fact that she was going to be away for so long, that I just cried, just curled up in my bed and sobbed, and I did not feel like drinking any champagne. Yeah, I'm a loser. But tonight, I'm still, you know, not loving the fact that she's so far away for so long, but I have my big girl pants on, so I think I'm now going to drink my champagne and maybe pair it with some champagne appropriate cuisine, like for example, Taco Bell. Good choices have been made all around. And I'm ready to watch my show. It's already so weird watching something this close to having read it, because there's like line by line bits. I'm like, I just read that sentence. It's cool. I wonder if I'll get annoyed at things that were missed because it's so fresh in my mind. I think that was good. I only watched the first episode of Life After Life, but I really liked the way they did it, and it was pretty faithful to the book, honestly. There were like a few little things I noticed that they simplified, which makes sense for a show. Definitely gonna keep watching. I got tired last night, so I just watched the one and then went to bed. Then woke up this morning to frustrating news. So I said that the reason that I'm here in London for 24 hours is to see my school friends. One of them's mum has just tested positive for COVID, so we're trying to figure out what to do, who's gonna still see who. I'm gonna ignore all of this for the minute and go and get my nails redone for Christmas with my sister. And then by the time that is done, I will have got my head around how I can still see all of my school friends safely and catch my train at 5:30 back down to the other flight. It's a nightmare. We made it all work, and I'm back in London, and I have something very cool to show you. So I arrived to a little mini present from Raf that she sent me to arrive here. This is Masquerade by Kit Williams, which is the book that The Skeleton Key, which I just read earlier in this vlog, is based on. So this was a real book from the 70s that was a treasure hunt. It like corresponded to this real life treasure hunt. People had to go and find the golden hair, and that's what the golden bones from The Skeleton Key is based on. This is a real thing, so this is really cool. And the whole time I was reading The Skeleton Key, I was saying like, I'm just not loving this book enough, but I'm really, really interested in the true story behind it. And now I've got it, so I can go through this. I'm gonna probably not try and solve it myself because I don't think I have the brain for it, but go through and look up the answers and then see if I can like understand how they all fit together. By now though, it is into bed with Homecoming, which I have not read a single word of today. The amount of my book that I have read today, a page and a half maximum. Oops. I ended up reading a little bit before dinner, but I still am making very slow progress. I need to speed up because Raf is actually currently reading this one in Australia, but she started earlier than me, and she's like 75% of the way through, and she said that she has had this theory for a while that she now thinks is coming true, that she was right, and I have not got to the point of forming any theories yet. Like, I haven't got far enough in to know what I would form my theories about. So I want to speed up a little bit so that I won't catch up with her, but kind of get close enough that I can slightly follow like her reading experience. Problem is, there's so many Christmas movies to watch during the day, there's so much sprawling around with my sister to do, and then I get into bed and I'm so tired. I'm on page 126 and it's a very long book. I'll read a little bit more now, but my eyes are already shutting. I did not manage to close the gap because Raf actually finished it this morning, but I'm excited because she said that the last quarter of the book was so good and that one of her theories was right. She had guessed one of the twists, but then there was another one and then another one, which was like mind-blowing. So I am very excited. I still haven't got any theories yet. It's a long book and it's filled with, at the stage I am, a lot of descriptions of Australia. It's the first book that Kate Morton's actually set in Australia, and she's Australian, so it's really lovely getting like her love for Australia really comes through. So I'm still in the kind of scene setting descriptive parts, so I haven't yet got anything to base theories on, but I'm getting very excited now. Okay, I have actually now got to a part in the book where there are things for me to try and puzzle out, and I've already had a twist that something is not quite what I had assumed, which is interesting. It's Christmas Eve, which means that it is the last door on my advent calendars. It's the 24th of December. I obviously am not picking a new book today because I'm still making such slow progress with Homecoming, but I figured you've been with me on this journey so far, you might want to see what's behind the final doors, because I still have the rest of the month to keep reading, so I might fit in one more book and maybe I can use this final picture or like pick my favourite picture. We'll see, maybe none of this will happen, but I still thought you might be invested, you might want to know. So a nativity scene in one and a cute London Christmas scene in the other. So that was all of my advent calendar pictures. I still have a lot of reading to do. The first thing I'm actually going to do today for this Christmas Eve is jump in the sea. Why am I doing this? We always do the Boxing Day dip. It's a tradition that a lot of people do here. But because my dad isn't going to be with us on Boxing Day morning, we thought we'd move it and do it on Christmas Eve morning instead so he can join in. However, so I usually, historically, I never join in with this tradition because it's cold. Why would I do that? Last year, I had been doing a lot of training because I swam the Solent, and so I was like, after all of my training, I'm good in the water now, I can do it. So I did it last year, and I really enjoyed it actually. Like, it's cold and it's horrible, but I was proud of myself for doing it. This year, I want to keep my brave streak up, but it has been bloody cold. We've had snow, we've had frost. I think that's going to be the coldest sea ever. And I might just get in it and die. Because you see, currently, I'm reading by a fire. It's very warm and cozy in here. Do I really want to plunge into an icy sea?
We might not come out. We might not do this.
Well, we sort of did it. It felt like I was doing it a lot more while I was in the water. It felt like I was submerged in icy water, but then watching the footage back, it was really more of a paddle. It wasn't so much the cold. The cold was terrible, but it was the waves. They were terrifying. I did not want to be knocked to the ground. So I'm still claiming that as a win. Now my face is all red because I've just been reading in the bath to warm up ever since. So, exciting update. I've reached a point in the book where I can start coming up with my own theories, and I have formed my first theory. The format of this book is pretty interesting because, like I already said, there's two timelines. There's the 50s one when this mystery happened with his family all died, and then there's present day, roughly present day. But what's quite interesting is that first we were going between those two timelines, both just like written in the same kind of style. But now the present day main character, Jess, has discovered a book written by a journalist. It's a non-fiction book, but it's like very narrative non-fiction, very like written in the style of a novel. And that book is about the 1950s timeline. And so now we're getting this like book within a book telling that story. It's very interesting. It's slightly different from any of the Kate Morton books that I've read before anyway. Now it's time to get ready for Christmas Eve dinner, start drinking. I probably will not film anything on Christmas Eve, but I'll show you how pretty I look when I've got ready. And I'm ready. So consider this me checking out for Christmas. I don't think I'll be picking up my camera over the next like day and a half. We're going to start drinking now. I might do a little bit more reading on Christmas Day. We're having a relatively quiet one compared to my usual family Christmases where there's just loads of us. My parents both have loads of siblings, but this year we've got a pretty quiet one, so I might get some more reading done, but I just don't think I'll be picking up my camera. So I will talk to you again on Boxing Day and let you know how I'm getting on with the book and my theories. But for now, happy Christmas! You can tell it's Boxing Day now because I'm in new Christmas pajamas and I've read precisely no more of my book. Right, let's see if we can remember what was going on in this story. Things are heating up. I think some answers are soon to come to light. There have been surprising developments. One of my theories has been proved correct, but just in a slightly more convoluted way than I had thought, and I don't totally understand why everything happened. So, need to keep reading. But I was right about one big thing. And I finished my book. There were a lot of twists by the end there, so some of my theories were proved correct, and then there were some bits that I never would have guessed. As you saw, my jaw dropped. Overall, a really lovely book. Kate Morton is a really lovely writer. I just love her tried and true format, the dual timelines, the family secrets set in a big house that run through the generations, and you have to work out how everything pieces together. She's just the master at it. So I think I should keep this game going for the next book that I pick as well. Obviously we're now past Advent, I don't have any more pictures, but I could just pick my favourite of the pictures that I've opened so far in order to decide what to read. What's it gonna be? What do we think is the loveliest picture? A few hours have passed. I have not reached a decision. I wasn't thinking about all this time we actually went to the cinema and watched Matilda, but I have decided something. It's too hard for me to do this because I know the selection of books I have here, and so when I look at the pictures I am just too distracted thinking about what I could match each picture with, so it's not really a fair choice just based on the best picture. So I'm actually going to get Sophie to pick the best picture. So very interesting result. Sophie looked at all of them very carefully and then she picked Number 1, The Penguin, which we already did. That was the first one I did. So I said choose again, and then she said, can I choose one that isn't behind a door but just part of the scene? And so from this one, she picked this old man smoking a pipe who is not behind an advent calendar door. He's just in the picture. And so, to me, a man smoking a pipe like that instantly makes me think Sherlock Holmes, detective, and I have 2 detective books here. I have 8 Detectives, and I have Case Histories by Kate Atkinson, which is about a detective called Jackson Brodie. It's like the first in a detective series. So, of these 2 books, one of them is published by Penguin. Technically, they're both published by Penguin, because the Kate Atkinson is Black Swan. It's part of a division of Penguin Random House. But 8 Detectives actually has the Penguin logo on it. So that would fit both of Sophie's choices. And so, my final book of the vlog is going to be 8 Detectives. I've been very intrigued by this one for a while. I read the first 2 chapters in bed last night. Already I can tell this is going to be right up my alley. Today is the day that we're going back to London, leave my parents' house, and it is very wet and woolly out there. I don't know if the boats are even going to make it across. We made it. That was a very windy crossing. It was very wobbly. But I am home. I'm here at Raf's flat actually, and now I've just got to wait for her a day and a half until she comes home from Australia. I didn't read any more of my book on the train, so I was just chatting to my sister the whole way. But so far, what I read last night was a short story, a short murder mystery story, and then the next chapter was about the author of that story and how he was a professor who has like studied the rules of murder mysteries and had come up with the formula basically for a murder mystery and then hidden that into a book of stories. And I can see from looking at the next chapter that it's going to be another of his stories. So it's sort of like a short story collection but bound together into a novel. Very intriguing. I've just run a bath here at Raf's house where she has the nicest bath in the world, and I'm very excited to be back in it with my book. This book is so intriguing and I have not yet figured out where it is going. So it keeps alternating between a new story. The stories are pretty sinister, getting increasingly sinister. They're not like graphic or anything, but they're dark. And then alternating between that and the sections where we're meeting the author, talking to his new editor who wants to republish these stories. And she keeps pointing out inconsistencies in each story, which we don't know why they're there. It's possible that they're like a pattern or they're leaving little clues. The author himself is very mysterious. He has run away to this island. Nobody knows why. He suddenly left his life behind. He like closes down every time she asks him questions about it. He named the collection of stories, the first time he published them, The White Murders, which was the name of a famous murder that happened on Hampstead Heath when he was living in London. So there's like a suggestion, was he the murderer? But then why would he hide that in plain sight by naming his book after it? It's very intriguing. There's a lot to figure out. And I like this format. I wasn't sure how I would get on with the fact that it keeps just going to new stories, because it makes it like less of a novel and more of a short story collection. But I'm really enjoying it. It's unlike anything I've read. And that brings us all the way back to today. It is the 29th of December, so I haven't quite made it all the way through the month, but I wanted to get this video up for you tomorrow. I am really, really enjoying 8 Detectives. I read more last night before falling asleep. I'm now halfway through. I imagine I will finish it kind of perfectly in time for the end of the month and the end of the year, and so Advent Calendars will have fully decided my whole December reading. To recap, that means that I will have read 8 books in December, all decided by my Advent Calendar, and the majority of them were a roaring success. That was a really good reading month for me. Out of those 8, I haven't yet finished 8 Detectives, but I'm loving it. So I don't know what rating that's going to end up being, but I'm predicting it's going to be high. I have also read 2 5-star books, 2 4-star books, and 3 3-star books. And actually, even of those 3-star books, 2 of them were books that I had predicted were going to be 3 stars, and so they gave me exactly what I wanted, and they were really fun and enjoyable. It was only one of them, The Skeleton Key, that was a slight disappointment, just because I thought it was going to be a higher rating. Still doesn't mean that it wasn't a good book. I didn't pick up a single book in December that I didn't enjoy. And of the ones at the higher end, I actually think I would put 3 of them into my favourite books of the year if I hadn't already filmed my World Cup too early. The ones that I would have added to that would be This Time Tomorrow, Small Things Like These, and Life After Life. Definitely going to be books that were favourites of the year. And if 8 Detectives is as good as I'm predicting it's going to be, that could also be in there. I could end up with a 50% hit rate of favourite books of the year happening just in December. So that just proves I was right all along. Advent calendars are magic. They have given me my favourite reading month of the year, I think. They also weirdly went in pairs because I got two almost identical books. This Time Tomorrow and Life After Life are both about living your life over and over again. And I need to remember how much I did like This Time Tomorrow because Life After Life was even better, and so I'm doing all my remembering of that one, but I did love This Time Tomorrow as well. Then the Advent calendars gave me two really short books, short stories, the Claire Keegan and the Agatha Christie. They gave me two books about family secrets going through the generations, The Skeleton Key and Homecoming, the Kate Morton. And then The Marriage Act is kind of its own thing, the dystopia, and Eight Detectives. Honestly, at this point, who knows what it's going to turn out to be? I'm so intrigued. In fact, I'm going to go keep reading it right now. So Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you, and I will see you back here on Drinking by My Shelf in 2023.
I dream of December nights, kissing under bright lights, snowflakes in my hair, carols playing in the air. I dream of December nights, kissing under bright lights, red